Um, Hello everyone. I just wanted to make a video covering printing out some strings in SIC, SIC. Um, I just want to preface this saying, I'm not an expert in SIC, but and all of my experience comes from uh, an assembly class that was working in, and I noticed a lot of people were struggling with some things, so I just wanted to kind of make a little video covering printing some strings. And so, again, I'm no expert in this. I'm sure there's some reason that this may not work, depending on your system. In testing this, I used an emulator that was provided to me, a SIC virtual machine, basically. Um, and so, if whatever I provide doesn't work, I apologize, but yeah, I just wanted to kind of make a little video covering printing out some strings because I realize there's not a lot of easily accessible information on this topic. So on the screen, you can see we have just a very basic starting of a program. So we have a starting address of 0. Um, I have a 0 word 0. So just means our 0 has a value of 0, and that's for this part, so that we let the SIC program know, we're trying to end the program. And so our string that we're going to be using is just a simple hello world, and I'll go through kind of how the process works in doing this. So we're just going to do hello byte, and then we want to specify a character. So this is our string, right? Our string of characters. And then to properly output these strings, we need to know what the length of the string is, and we have to include spaces as well. So we need to know how long the string is going to be, and we'll just create a value for that. So in this case, I'm just going to do hello s for hello size. And that is a word. And then we're just going to set this to 11 because we have 5 for hello, 6 for the space, and then another 5, which gives us 11. And so if you are, in the case of my SIC virtual machine, we have to route it to a specific device. And so if you have to do that, then all I did was create a word kind of variable thing, and we always use device 42, so that's just something that I'm used to doing, so I'll just put it in here. And so what we want to do to load in the characters is do a LDCH for load character, and then we need to specify what character we're trying to load. So in this case, we want to load from our hello string, and we need to specify at what position, and so we're going to do that using X. And at the beginning of your program, X is usually going to be set to 0. In this case, I'm assuming that X is being set to 0. If you are going through this process and X isn't set to 0, you can always do instead we could do an LDX and then 0 to load 0 into X. And so that way you don't have to assume 0 is going to be an X, but for this case, I'm going to go back to doing this. So what this statement is saying is we want to load the character into the accumulator. I think we're loading the character from hello at position X into A, I think. And then if you want to print out this character, we're going to write to the device. And then you specify the device. This is just how I usually set it up. So write to device makes it simple. And then what we want to do is increment X using ticks. And then we're going to compare this to our string size via hello S. So what ticks is doing is it increments X and compares. So it's going to increment X. If it's 0, we increment it to 1. And then what it does is it compares it to, the provided value. So in our case, it's hello S or hello size, right? So it's going to be like, hey, is it less than, or it's going to, basically it does, is it less than, equal to, or greater than the value provided? So in our case, it is then going to put into the CC, is going to put a less than, because at this case, our X is now 1, assuming we've gone through this process and we're up to this point. And so then all we need to do is create a loop, and we can simply do this doing just a jump lesson. And we'll just say, hey, if our X value is less than, in our case, 11, then we want to jump back to first, and then it'll load the character from hello at our new X value. So now it'll load the value at 1 from this string. It'll write it to the device. It'll increment again. It'll be like, hey, this is less than, equal to, or greater than. So now X is 2. And it just goes through this process over and over again until X is 11. And then in our CC, we will have it being equal to or 0, 0. And then this statement obviously doesn't compute. It skips this, and then it'll just go to the end and end the program. So a little system like this should print out hello world. Using my SIC virtual machine, I got the correct output. Again, I'm sorry if this setup doesn't work for everyone. I'm no expert in this. I just wanted to provide a little something to help people out. If you wanted to do a different string than hello world, obviously all we need to do is make sure we have our string and then know what the length is. And so if we had something like, we'll just say what, right, and we'll do like what's up. So again, what I always do is try and take the name and then just add an S to the end, so I know that like it's, our variable thing, and then the size. That's just how I've done it. You don't have to do that, obviously. It's up to you how you name things. And then word, and then obviously we need to do, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So then we have 8. And then we just need to do this process again. But instead, we change this hello to what, because we want to reference this string and try and print from that instead. And if you were to if you wanted to try and print out both, what you could do is just keep this first loop, and then we'll load it into x0, just so that we know we're going to start from the beginning of the string. And then just repeat this process, making sure that we switch our variable. And then we need to compare it, instead of to hello s, to what s, right? So that we're comparing to the right size. And we can't jump to first here, because if we jump to first, then it would start comparing to, it'd start doing all this, and then it would start trying to print out the hello world stuff. So all we need to do is create a label here, and so let's just say print W for print what, So, after this is done printing, then we load into x0. Then we're going to load in the character from what at position x. So it's going to load in this first character because we're at position 0. Write it to the device. It's going to increment and then compare to what size. And then we could just do a jump less than to print W. And then just get rid of that. So something like this should then, a program like this should then go through here. It says, hey, let's load in the character from our hello string at position x, which should be 0 at the beginning of your program. Then we write to the device, increment x and compare to the size of our string. If it's less than, we just kind of create this loop where we keep going back and forth, through this whole process. Once this loop is finished, then we are going to load in 0 into our X register. I think it's a register. I could be wrong, but and then we start this process of, we load in our character from our what string at position X, write it to the device, increment, compare, the same process over and over again until our program is done. So that should print out something like hello world, what's up, without a space in between the words. But I mean, you could always add a space, but then you'd have to remember to increase your size. Yeah, I think that's it. So thank you to whoever watches this. Hopefully this helps whoever is watching. If I've done something wrong and you're better at SIC assembly than me, feel free to leave some sort of comment or something along those lines to help other people out. So thank you for watching.